All right. So how important have sports been to you in your life?
Uh, my life, they've been incredibly important. I mean, ever since I was, as far back as I can remember, me and my dad and my brother growing up, um, a lot of things that we did, a lot of the involvement socially, personally revolved around, you know, sports, which led to competition, which, led to resiliency and learning how to do things. Um, oh, I know I had to click on this thing, meeting being recorded. Yeah, I had to click and
You're good.
continue, I
You're
guess.
good.
And so, yeah, not everything, but a lot of what we did just revolved around, socially and interacting with sports.
Nice. So I think you kind of mentioned on this, but who most influenced you in becoming interested in sports?
Well, it obviously started with my dad. He didn't really, it wasn't really interesting. It was just kind of a matter of fact. We go places, we do things. Um, Everything just kind of slowly evolved and turned into competition. My brother was 2 years older than me, so between me, my dad, and my brother, and obviously whatever my brother could do, being the younger sibling, it's like, oh, screw you, I can do that faster. I can do it better. Oh, you only hit it that far. Yeah, well, here's how far I hit it. So a little bit of sibling rivalry played into it, but dad always started off providing the opportunities to try things, and then it was always okay, who's going to be better. Even though my brother was 2 years older than I was, I'm pretty sure I was bigger than him by about fifth grade, and he topped out about 6'1", and I topped out about 6'7". So who knew? But
Awesome. Did you have a particular athlete who you greatly admired when you were young, and why?
well, I was going to say, I think athletes were treated or viewed maybe differently
Hmm.
30 years ago. It sounds weird, but yeah, it's actually even more than 30 years ago. But growing up in the mid 80s, I mean, Chicago Bears were big. Oakland Raiders were big. We'd go and watch some of the Cubbies games. The Bulls with Jordan was huge. Magic playing for the Lakers, but it wasn't where the athletes were held up as quite the celebrity figures they are today. And actually, worshiped for everything they did and said. And, athletes are now considered, some of the smartest, most intelligent people on the planet. And, they should control society and tell society how to live their lives. Back in the day, they were just appreciated for, kind of their athletic achievements and what they did. So I even remember I had a picture of Lyle Alzado, who's a old Oakland Raider. He was up on my wall, ripped, muscular, and big football uniform. And, of course, I had a Jordan poster up on my wall, and he was dunking basketball. Then, of course, I had a bikini girl behind my door that my mom wouldn't see. So it wasn't really influenced or affected, but you respected what they did, things they were able to achieve, the athletic possibilities that you can push your body to. Always intrigued me to try and be bigger, stronger, faster. And actually, I was just joking with some friends recently. I think it was a Facebook meme that somebody posted. And it's like, for the Olympics, for every event, they ought to put, one normal average Joe, male or female, if it's the 100-meter dash, the
Hmm.
400, the 800, the relay, a swimming event, shot put, javelin, whatever, put a normal, average, everyday idiot competing in all these Olympic events, just so the world understands how good these athletes truly are, and
Hmm.
not just like, oh yeah, well, they're all really close and competitive, and hey, they ran a 9.8-second 100-yard dash. No, put an average idiot out there. I mean, it's crazy how good these guys are. So that's, I
Hmm.
always respected their physical ability and what they could do, not necessarily, who they were, what they said, or what they believed in.
And what was your greatest memory of playing or watching sports? I guess playing in your
Oh,
case.
well, I say playing was always interesting, but honestly, even between high school, Michigan State, and even a short little stint with the Jets, it's funny, you look back 20, 30 years, and most of the memories that all the athletes, whenever you get together and you hang out with your friends and talk about stuff, a lot of the on-field things you did, the games you won, you lost, individual plays, you really don't remember that many things that you did during the games. It's always the camaraderie, the off the field stuff, the locker room, the weight room, the practices in the fall, the summer, the spring, almost, the collective suffering what he went through to achieve some of the success, is always a lot of the memories that people get together and talk about the most. So it's so some memories are, I mean, one of the great ones I had is my sophomore, junior year, played in the Coca-Cola Bowl, went over to Tokyo with Michigan State and Wisconsin. Both teams flown over there for 7 days. We played a bowl game over in Tokyo, and the football was good, but honestly, being in Tokyo for 7 days with the entire football team, with coaches, with translators, trying sushi for the first time as a college kid, traveling international was just nuts, eye-opening, world-changing for me. So that was probably one of the biggest things is, non-football related, but I was able to do it because of football.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that even includes, freshman year, we won the Big Ten championship. I got a nice freaking Big Ten champ ring, but that's kind of a side story, not necessarily everything that was involved to achieve it.
Yeah, that's cool. So how do you think sports have changed from when you were young?
I've got a couple of kids right now, freshman moving sophomore in high school to junior moving to a senior in high school. The sports have become way more specialized, far superior to what they used to be. He was a sophomore and he was a junior last year, trying out for the basketball team, and his skills in basketball blew away what I used to be able to do in high school. And I was starting, and we played for a state championship my senior year, and he was a lot better than I was, and he didn't even make the team. A lot of the sports, I'd say almost to a fault, are so specialized these days where, between soccer, basketball, football, lacrosse, swimming, there's so many travel teams, so many travel programs that if you're not participating year round in just one sport, then you're not going to be good enough by the time you're a sophomore, junior, senior in high school to even make a team. Where it used to be, you had all summer. All my summers were free. I worked out a little bit, but I did it for fun. I played 3 sports all through high school. How many kids play 3 sports through high school these days? Not many. Most of them specialize in one sport. That's what they do, and they get to such a high elite level. It's mind-boggling how good these high school athletes are these days, which then carries over into football. But I do think it's a little bit of a negative to specialize in one sport. I'm a much bigger fan of, hey, play 2 or 3 sports. Be a great athlete first. And if you're a great athlete, but not sport specific, if you're good enough, somebody's going to want you in college. So I think some of the sport, this individualness is just too much these days.
Yeah. So with this class, it's a history of sports class. So it kind of is the idea of how things have changed from sports in the past to now. We talk about race and gender and things like that in sports a lot. So in terms of race, what inequities have you seen over the course of your life, and how have those changed as time has gone on?
I say race to me almost is more, again, coming from an old white guy perspective, which I realize is going to be received poorly. Growing up playing sports, all the teams I was ever involved in, there was no black, there was no white, there was no red, there was no yellow. It's whoever you want out on the field is whoever's going to make you and your team the best. And everybody that I lived with, everybody we talked to, everybody we would hang out with at night and on the weekends, it really didn't matter. If they were my brothers on the sports team, they were my brothers outside the sports team. Even when I came to Michigan State, there's, the fraternities were pretty strong. And everybody's like, hey, some guys I had friends who are in fraternities. Hey, you want to join fraternity? I'm like, no, I got my fraternity, the football team. That's who I am. That's what we do. So one comment is, I think a lot of the racial relations and a lot of the racial issues these days that the athletes get into, I don't think it is the on-field, on-team interaction where race is a thing, because I truly almost believe it's not considered. It's whoever's going to make the team better, and who you want next to you on the line of scrimmage is going to make you better. But once you get off the field, then it's a question of, in the business world, are there some inequities? Are there some stereotypes where, hey, by the way you look, by the way you act, by the way you talk, how you dress, are there some things that doors just aren't opened? That I believe there is. So it's separating the sports world from the business world, in my mind, when it comes to race and some of the equality issues is real.
And then pretty much the same question for gender and like social class and things like that. Have you seen inequities and like the same type of question? Maybe.
I say it's the gender is always a good one, just because my daughter, she plays, she was playing high school basketball, but now she just volleyball and lacrosse. But yeah, you've seen some of the things recently where, you got the women's NBA or, college, the women's college programs versus the men programs, some of the facilities, some of the things they get. Is that real? Yes, to an extent. Even the U.S. women's soccer team versus the men's soccer team, they're talking the pay gap, which on one hand, I don't believe in flatline equality for all. I believe in equal opportunity, where people have to have the chance to achieve, to succeed. Doors shouldn't be closed because of who you are, what you believe. You got to have an equal opportunity, but then once you're given an opportunity, it's what you make of it. And then almost one of the problems that I see these days is everybody believes every athlete should be paid the same. Women's sports, men's sports. So, well, the problem with that is the men's sports draw so much more advertising money, media attention, notoriety. The women's sports just don't draw the revenue. For whatever reason, it's not a spectator sport that people are going to pay billions of dollars to go see. And if you're not drawing the advertising, the media dollars, and the revenue, you can't pay the athletes the same. So I struggle with how to square that peg. I almost need to think some of the women's sports from the gender standpoint need to find a way to make themselves more engaging, more exciting, more responsive to what people want to watch and how they want to see it. And then maybe they will get more advertising dollars and more eyeballs. I've been joking that my son loves lacrosse right now. Personally, I think lacrosse is a great sport, but lacrosse is it's great in college, but then professional lacrosse is nothing because people don't like watching it. So I've been even talking to my son, trying to say, what do we need to do to the game of lacrosse to make it more interesting to watch? And if they can change the game, maybe it's a faster shot clock, maybe it's more goals, smaller field, bigger field, different pads, who knows? But that kind of is the same thing with women's sports or gender issues in sports. Is how do you make the game more interesting so people want to see it, and that'll lead to maybe some more equality of opportunity side.
All right, cool. That was all the questions that I had for you.